My bad. What are your thoughts on this craze that has swept the nation? What are your thoughts?
All right, before I start, I definitely want to add on to what you said about Dr. Lila Africa. He's been a huge inspiration for me. Um, I like his approach. I always liked his approach to how he disseminated his information. He was really brash. He was super direct. And my persona, I might not be as brash as he, but I really just liked his no holds barred approach to healing. He held no punches. And he was a huge stepping stone to what we're doing. So like you said earlier, the healers are transitioning now. Dr. Sabi, Lila Africa, and it's time, very much so, more so than now, more so now than ever, it's time for everybody to step up. Anybody with information, anybody with a healing modality, anybody that wants to get into the healing circles, whatever it is that we do, whether it be Kambo that we're going to talk about, or if it's psychedelics, or if it's teas, if it's just being hydrated. At one point in my life, I was fruitarian, vegetarians, whatever it is. If it's if you're bruja or bruja, whatever it is, you know, even if you're in an allopathic, like, it's time for everybody to come together, and really, really put our hearts first. So much respect and love to Dr. Africa, and he won't be forgotten.
He will not be forgotten. He definitely had an impact on my life as well. And like you said, his approach was a little bit different than Dr. Seabee's. You know what I'm saying? He was more so, just in your face, like, this is the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I just honor them. Those are the great ancestors. And I just trust and believe that the knowledge that they left behind, they left us a blueprint. And I just hope that we can pass that, we can follow the blueprint, because as we work on healing ourselves, we're healing everyone around us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I hope that we can follow the blueprint and then pass that on to our children. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely.
Actually, when I met you, Arjenis, I believe you were, was it a brother? No, I think you were a fruitarian.
Right.
When I met you.
Right. So we're going to go into that. I want to give one special shout out to Patsy Bowman. I'm live on Facebook as well. So like I said, I'll post this on YouTube, but then I also may utilize the Facebook footage as well. And Patsy Bowman, she was a wife of Dr. Sabi, so she's supposed to be behind the scenes as well. And we love you, Patsy. We love your family. Thanks for everything we've done.
Yes.
I am live with Shala on her YouTube page, which is 12th House. And in respect to Sabi, Shala and I, we did meet in Honduras.
Sure did.
To talk about the current state of things, I was saying to everybody that I spoke to, like, listen, I've been mentally and emotionally and psychologically prepared for moments like this. For years and years, whether it was watching The Matrix as a child, I knew that what I was watching wasn't just theatrics. There was some truth to that. So I was open. Even before that, I'm just prone to real, I guess, dystopian realities, apocalyptic realities. Like when I watch a movie, those are the things that I watch. And you asked me what was my dietary lifestyle. I was raw fruitarian with a slight twist, right? I'll pay respects to the brother that put me onto it. His name was George Best, or his name is George Best. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but he enlightened me to the lifestyle. He called it the nutrient retention rate. And the purpose of the lifestyle was to utilize raw fruits, remove the skin and the seeds, and consume it that way. So most fruitarians, they eat about 70% fruit, and they eat nuts and vegetables in 30%, right? What we were doing, we would start off a fruitarian lifestyle and then upgrade it. From our perspectives, right? We'll upgrade it and we'll leave the nuts, we'll leave the vegetables as our bodies will become more sensitive to what we ate as well as the environment. So he and I, we actually separated our union, our partnership, and I continued the lifestyle by my own version because I could no longer lean on him as my spiritual advisor. So with that, it was actually like a blessing in disguise, because I didn't have anyone to lean on in regards to say, hey, what do you think? Hey, what do you think? Because at that point, he, myself, and the doctor he was partnering with were the only three people that were doing it seriously, and he was the leader of it. But like I said, once we departed, I had to do it myself, and I knew, even though we had some transgressions, what I was doing was real, because it really opened my spirituality. It raised my vibration. Only eating fruits, it allowed me to really feel the frequency in ways I haven't ever in my life. So I'll mention, I am a Capricorn Sun, Taurus Moon, and Virgo Rising, and I right. We are on 12th House YouTube, right? So we got to add some astrological conversation to it, right?
That's right.
So personally, this is my theory. I suspect that Earth signs, especially as much as Earth that I am in those major spots, is like we don't necessarily sense the frequency like per se. Let's say an air sign or a fire sign, even a water sign. So prior to me being a raw fruitarian, or what I eventually dubbed hydrofruitarian, focused on hydration first, then the fruits, I found that being really earthy, I was prone to more super duper logical information, really giving credence to science, really giving credence to what the scientists say. And it didn't really make sense to me what was being promoted as spirituality. And I don't lie to myself. You said that I was stirring things up. I'm somebody that I don't lie to myself. I don't lie to people unless it's after survive or something like that. But you know what I mean? So I'm not right. I'm not someone that does that. I'm very, very straightforward, and I'm honest. So I had to be honest with myself first. And I didn't see what religious spirituality, I didn't see that it made sense. So I was an atheist for a huge part of my life. And then I have found brothers like Kaba Kamini, who spoke about spirituality from indigenous perspectives. And then it really started to make sense to me, just the approach of giving credence to nature and things like that. And it started to make sense. But then it made most sense when I really raised my vibration by only eating raw fruits. And I did that for about almost 4 years. So,
I know it.
Right. So I would teach people about what I was doing, and on my personal experience, what happened was I started to become very sensitive to the environment. Like, so on subtle things like sneezing became non-existent in my life. I wouldn't scratch for no reason. Numbers start to mean things to me. Like, numbers really confirmed the direction that I was going in. Like numerology, all this stuff didn't make sense. Right, it just started to come to me. I would get these downloads. On a physical tip, again, the environment played a lot in regards to how I felt about things. And in being in New York City, having to take the subway, it just felt like the environment was toxic. So I knew at some point I had to go to the tropics. I had to. So there were other persons online that were talking about going to the tropics, and they were showing that they were in the tropics. They were even talking about being fruitarians, and I was like, okay, these people or this person, they resonate. But then I would look at certain things and I say, I don't know, my vibe don't really rock with this brother in regards to what he's saying he's actually eating. But I was with the nature movement. So should I mention the brother? Is NB should go speak freely?
You can if you want.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'm just being just not. I have no quarrels. I don't even know him like that. I didn't want it to come off as I'm trying to down him, because that's not the purpose. But yeah. So I had seen Nature Boy online, and like I said, I always know I wanted to go to the tropics, and I got family in Panama and Costa Rica, so I've been there before. And when I'm there, I love it. But I also wanted to be with the frequency family that could perpetuate a similar living, similar lifestyle. So we talk about what's happening now with this apocalyptic dystopian reality. My mindset was already there. I was like, we got to go to the tropics and really have a self-sustaining society and really show the rest of the world that it can be done. So I reference Nature Boy, who really was and still is a huge proponent of the back to nature conscious. Yeah. Oh, look, I guess you say he was right. Things have changed, right?
Things have changed.
Right, things have changed. So at that particular time, he was really pushing the rhetoric. People were attracted to his look. People were attracted to what he was talking about. And in my personal life, like I said, I was already on that, probably before him. But he had the charisma to really spark something in people to take it seriously. So there's a woman by the name of Stephanie Leonard. I think she goes by Willow now, or I don't know. She changes her name. And then there was also a brother by the name of Azul. They left Nature Boy to go to a place that a brother by the name of Kerry Jackson was running a Holistic Life Village in Honduras in Sambo Creek. And I was observing everything. I said, okay, he doesn't seem to be as dominant in his approach to what others need to do for themselves. Kerry came off more like a hippie, and he was promoting raw fruits. And I said, hey.
I kind of look at him like a wizard, kind of. I don't know why, but hippie is wizard is type of a thing.
Right. Yeah, at the time, like he did seem more wise because he's also older. He was also older than, let's say, a Nature Boy who I guess is in his late 30s. And I was like, okay, this brother clearly he's lived a more longer life. He's from Houston. He was doing work in Houston, and he really wanted to have like minds around him. So I said, okay, that's probably a safe haven. I had an interview with him at the time. Yadaza, big up to Yadaza. She came along.
Yadaza,
right.
Yes,
right.
I miss you, girl.
Right. Yeah. She we created opportunity to go out there and meet some really cool people that are still pushing the Back to Nature movement. Some might know Trey Love. I think she's on the Facebook right now watching me. She's back in Honduras. And we stayed there for some time. I think I might have been at Holistic Village for maybe 2.5 months or 3 months. Things didn't.
And which is where I met you. Which is where I met you and Yadaza.
Right. Yeah. So you had come. I think you came when I had already departed from Holistic Life Village.
Yes.
Right. I had Yadaza and myself.
You got your own place and stuff like that.
Right. So you may have heard about me by way of Kerry and everybody else that was there. Like, so my innate superpower, right, is counseling. Right. That's what I'm born with. I'm born with the ability to counsel others. And when on the first day I was there, I did like this. It was amazing to get there and feel the frequency of nature. The first day I was there, I did like a round robin type of counseling thing that some people didn't really like. They were like, you remind me of Nature Boy. You're really in our face. Yet I came with an approach of love. And like, although I was kind of reading everyone and they didn't really ask for it, because they were there, they loved it inside.
Yeah. You did what you were supposed to do, Arjenis.
Right.
You know, you're a true speaker, and so you have to, because that's the only way we can heal is if we acknowledge what it is we're trying to cover up. You know what I'm saying? And so, whatever the issues were, because we all got different things, you brought it to light. You and Yadaza.
Right.
Playing off of each other, and I wasn't there at the time, but when I was hearing about it, I'm like, man, yeah, that's that. You're in the perfect environment. Because we know what the tropics do. We know the tropics pushes you to purge.
Right.
And so it's like whatever it is that you're holding back, or whatever the pain is, whatever the disease of the mind is, purges out in the tropics. And when you said that, you knew at some point, your body became very sensitive to your environment, being in New York. You saw how toxic your environment was. See, a lot of people don't understand how important your environment is to your mental well-being, to your spiritual, physical, and emotional well-being. Same thing happened to me when I changed my diet. I became very sensitive to my environment, and I said, well, I have to go to the tropics. But Nature Boy, what Nature Boy did to me, or for me, was he showed me, because I was already manifesting, I was already speaking into the mirror, I was already writing it down in my moon journal. I wanted to leave the country, I wanted to be amongst the trees and fresh water and things like that. I didn't know where, who, or when, but what Nature Boy did was he showed me that it could be done. So when I saw him on the TV, I was like, oh my God, these are melanated beings, living outside the country, they're cultivating, like it can be done. It can be done. I knew I couldn't go to his camp, it just didn't feel right to me, you know, to be there. But I'm like, wow, it can be done. And I just put it in my mind, well, me and my children are going to leave. You know what I'm saying? We'll find some type of expat community that's on the frequency or whatever. And that's when I ended up finding the Holistic Life Village as well. Went down there and met you beautiful people. A lot of the people that I met in Honduras, I still keep tabs with. Some people I've had to let go or whatever the case may be, but you're one of the individuals that I make sure I keep tabs on.
Most
because
definitely.
again, you know, I look at you as speaking the truth. I just look at you as being, like, you're going to tell people the truth, like, no feelings spared. You know, It's not about feelings. You know what I'm saying? It's just about, this is the truth. You know, let's heal. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, I mean, you just had a beautiful story. And so you left Honduras and you came back to New York. And you found your way off into...
Honduras, amazing experience. Also, it was a lot of downs. Like I said, I did leave Holistic Life Village due to some transgressions and things wasn't really working the way. I'll be honest, I knew that there would be challenges before anything, so I even take responsibility for that. Like, I can't say things didn't work out. I kind of knew what was happening, yet I didn't want to miss the opportunity to at least say that I experienced something that I was yearning for. And Kerry did, you know, big ups to Kerry, because he did.
Big ups to Kerry.
Yeah, he did lay the foundation for us to link, meet, and like you said, you are my soul sister, you know. So he did create the platform for us to have this experience and continue connecting the way we need to, because it's not over. Like, going to the tropics is still something that I want to do. Maybe not in Honduras. My focus is more so maybe Bali or maybe someplace else. But my family, my soul family, is still there, and some have come back. So yeah, I did come back. I want to say this too, right? Just because I know we still vibrate with the Back to Nature movement, because people thought I was a part of Nature Boys camp. People thought I was a Nature Boy acolyte or something. Not the case. I want to say this. Finance is very important, and if you are trying to get to the tropics, you want to have your residual income correct. You want to have that right. Like, just trying to go to the tropics and just be out there. If you can do it, if you have the skills to chop down a tree, build a house, or if you can be a minimalist like that, then it's great. I don't have that skill. I don't see me really perpetuating that. So for me, I need to have my finances right and have residual income, and that's something.
You ain't never lying.
Right.
You ain't never lying.
Right. So
you have to have some money, and donations ain't gonna cut it.
Right. Unless you're a pastor, like, people have correct charisma where they could get that. For me, my purpose in regard to coming back to the States, right? And donate. I want to say this too. Like I said, you bring me back. I didn't do this on my own platform. I didn't do this on Facebook. I didn't do it anywhere. So I'm kind of letting people know the truth of what happened from my time from Honduras to now. If you got the time, because it's your platform as well. All right. So yeah, again, I appreciate you, because you allow me to have like a testimony. Right. So my residual income was cut short due to some family issues. I set it up so I could go, and then it got cut. And I had to utilize donations. I had to reach out to people. And I'm somebody that's proud. I didn't necessarily want to do that. I got to big up your Daza again, because she really was doing her spiritual work and bringing in income. I was somehow, I was somehow, some way just get blessed by way of what I was doing prior. Somebody would just call me. I say, brother, I see you doing your thing, cutting coconuts out there. I'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, it's kind of rough out, and they'll just gift me with money. And I'll be like, okay, thank you so much. It would just happen that way. I would say it seems like I am protected by my ancestors, especially the feminine, my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, and those before, my father. It's like, when things go rough for me, I don't hit rock bottom. It might seem like I'm about to, but I don't. So I got to give thanks for all those and those that have well wishes for me. You know, so, and my ancestors that's living as well too. So yeah, I did have to utilize donations, and friends and family sent me money, and those that were just admirers sent money. Then I did come back to New York to a very, very, very tough time. I was at odds with my family, and I had to really, really just, like, what I did was I just kind of laid low, and I really just said, okay, what do I want for myself? I know I'm a healer. I know I'm in the realm of healing, assisting in healing, because I do believe that everyone's purpose is to heal themselves. Right? I'm not in this to be necessarily revered. I do want my respect, but I don't need people to worship me or anything like that. So I came back and I said, okay, I gotta get Obviously, I got to get a job. I got to pay for what I need to pay for. But I knew that I needed to do something that could assist others in a practical way. Before that, I had to really work on myself. Right? I was no longer the fruitarian. I no longer had that identity anymore. People really, they would see fruits and they would think of me. Right? And I lost my fruitarian. I had to stop being a fruitarian in Honduras because the resources, one, I didn't have the resource to get what I wanted and travel as much. And two, I discovered what's called rainy season. Y'all could,
That's right.
y'all could, hey, listen.
Rainy season is tough, baby. That's what brought us back to the States. It was tough.
Yeah, listen. Y'all could laugh. I did not know what rainy season meant. I went out there with summer clothes, and when I really was out there, the second month of my time being out there it was cold as ever. And I'm like, I thought I left New York to get away from the cold. What's going on? You know, so yeah, it was crazy for me. So again, those that want to get to the tropics, learn what months are rainy season and have the proper clothing.
And be prepared.
Be prepared. Be prepared.
This is something that you've never experienced in your life. Rainy season is something.
Yeah, definitely something. I'm telling you, like we had the tent life and all that, and I was waking up at night, jumping out, having to secure the tent because the winds and the hurricanes, it gets real crazy. But moving forward, in New York, there was some more tough times, and to be blunt, I lost the place that I was living in, that I thought was my home. You know, so I was on a journey of being homeless. I was staying with friends and family, and I was super insecure about what's going on. But I stayed focused on healing myself, right? Politically, I know that people deserve forgiving, but when you're going through the battle with them, and then there will be more battling the next day, it's really hard to forgive. It's really, really hard to forgive. With that being said, a friend of mine, Erica, she invited me to what was an ayahuasca ceremony, right? So, right, I don't know. So ayahuasca, for those that don't know, it is a spiritual medicine that is used in indigenous communities and now the psychedelic communities. It is used, it is a drink, and when you take it, you purge. You purge spiritually. A lot of vomiting happens. It lasts for about 8 hours. It does have what's called DMT, and DMT is known as the spirit molecule. It's associated with the third eye. So she invited me to the ceremony, and I was seeking ayahuasca even before going to Honduras. Even before then, I was really into the idea of learning about these healing modalities. So once I came back, I guess it was Spirit said it's time for me to get into this, and
to do it.
Right. So with that, I felt amazing. Like it was a lot of visuals, but spiritually, I was really, really happy, even though I was still going through what I was going through in regards to not having a place to necessarily call my home physically. So yeah, I discovered ayahuasca. And then after that, I was introduced to something else that's called Bufo. Have you heard of Bufo or Sapo?
No.
Okay.
No. Tell me about it.
All right. So yeah, I was introduced by that community. I was introduced to Bufo, and I'll say this: Mike Tyson is a huge proponent of this. He calls it the toad, right? He calls you can go all over YouTube, and he even took it to ESPN and spoke about this.
Really?
Right. So I had done it. It's not a drink. It is known as the father or grandfather of DMT.
Okay.
As ayahuasca is known as the mother and or grandmother of DMT. Like they call it Mother Aya or Grandmother Aya.
Okay.
Bufo is known as the father. It lasts about 15 minutes.
Okay.
It is smoked through a glass pipe, and it lasts about 15 minutes but it lasts about a month. The euphoria of it,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it continues for about a month. But you're not having like intense psychedelic experiences. You're just on a super duper high. It's really good for depression. It's like It's known as the God molecule. If you want to tune into oneness, what I call oneness, or what people call the universe. So if you subscribe to God or goddesses or Allah or whatever you call it, the divine, that intense high spirit, Bufo is the one way
Wow.
to tune into that. Go ahead.
What is okay? Because when I was in Honduras, I tried the mushrooms. Okay,
Okay.
so did you try mushrooms when you were there?
Hey, yeah. So my first experience with mushrooms is actually in Honduras, where you go and pick them, and
Yes.
they're in a more wet state. If people have experience with psilocybin or what we call the mushrooms right now, they're dehydrated, right? So
Okay.
my first experience with the mushrooms was in Honduras. We did pick them ourselves. Really cool to do that. At the same time, I was raw. I was raw then, and I was.
So you had a major effect, huh? Or,
You know what? I'm gonna tell you. It wasn't major. It was. I had grown accustomed to. So when I was when I was raw, I was accustomed to, like an actor would. If an actor could tune into an emotional state, whether cry or whatever, for the theatrics of it, I don't think I'm a good actor. Yet, as a fruitarian, I could tune in hormonally into whatever I wanted to achieve. So if I wanted to cry, I could do that. If I wanted to be angry, I could do that. But it didn't move me. I could be angry in a moment and then be back to my happy state, because my default state was a higher frequency. So when I had the mushrooms, what it did was it shifted me. I didn't have grasp of my emotional state. So it was like, if I felt sad, I was like, I didn't have a hold on it. So I was insecure. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm not with this. And I didn't have any visuals. And I said, it's not for me. So, but when my experience with it in America, right? I kind of skipped that. But what happened was, I had some mushrooms, right? And rule of thumb is this: if you're gonna take any psychedelics, ayahuasca, bufo, or even maybe mushrooms, right? Depending on the dosage, you want to give yourself about a month separation, because unless you're doing it recreational, ayahuasca you can't do it necessarily recreational. Bufo is impossible to do it recreational, or I would say it's not really done recreational. Mushroom, depending on the dose, it can be done as a spiritual ceremony or activity, or it can be done just for recreational, like if you just want to experience it. So what I did was, after ayahuasca, in about 2.5 weeks, I had mushrooms. But what the mushrooms did to me, it actually flipped. It kind of gave me an emotional 180. I was on the ayahuasca high, euphoria, and because I was dealing with not having a place to necessarily call my home and all of that, those insecurities were kind of lying dormant for that month, and the mushrooms kind of brought it to the surface. And I was like, oh man. And really, because I was just really insecure at that moment. Like, you don't want to do these things when you're not feeling the best. But I had it on me, and I said, I'm just going to take them now. And it shifted me. So, and I had a very little bit of visuals. So that was 2 mushroom experiences that wasn't really for me. And I said, you know what? I might give it another try, and I might not. I don't know. We'll see. And I did give it another try. I'll go into that. So after that, I was introduced to Bufo. And I went to a Bufo ceremony with a couple of people. And when we do Bufo, all right. I see questions. Right. Oh, cool. Perfect. So when we do Bufo, the reaction can be anything. It can be quiet. It can be very loud. It can come off as violent. It can be tears. It's like an instant purging that happens. My first ceremony, the message that I received was, all is perfect. Your future is going to be amazing. Like, stop worrying. Don't worry about anything. So I was like, yes, this is exactly what I needed. Like, that's all I needed. I had another ceremony where, in Bufo again, where the message was to forgive some family members that I was battling in court. So, and also there was more forgiveness as well. Just forgiveness and gratitude. And I was crying a little bit. And it was like, listen, don't fight that cousin, because it doesn't make sense. You know, this particular person actually gave me a place to stay, but then kind of put me out, and I lost property because of it. And I was trying to sue them. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to let it go. I love the brother. It don't make sense to be battling, and it doesn't make sense. So I went to court and I ended that claim with him. And then I had another Bufo ceremony And in this one, I thought I would just kind of collapse because that's what happened. I kind of just fell out, kind of blacked out. When doing these ceremonies and these medicinals, I'm telling this because I do these things now as well, right? So I'm kind of giving people pre-instructions. You want to have the mindset of surrendering. You don't want to go into these ceremonies and fight. Like anyone that does this, it's time to surrender. And clearly the climate is saying it's time to surrender to ourselves. So with that,
this is a healing, these different they're natural herbs and things that's of the earth
right.
that he's talking about that we take or we ingest,
right.
And it's not recreational. I mean, like he said, some people may use it for recreational purposes, but we're talking about on a spiritual healing type of level. Okay, when we're talking about the mushrooms, Mother Aya, and this form that he's talking about now, this is all for spiritual healing and spiritual cleansing. And so he's before he took what's the name of it?
All right, there was ayahuasca, there was psilocybin, or what's known as mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
And then now we're on Bufo.
Right. Bufo.
Right.
Yeah, so before he took the Bufo, he was just having issues with his family members and all these things. And so after he, had this experience with Bufo, it was guiding him. It was like your ancestors or your spirit guides were able to talk to you and guide you out of what you were going through.
Right. Exactly. And that third ceremony was the most intense. Like so I said, when we do these things, there can be a multitude of responses. My first two were very quiet. The third one was like another layer of a breakthrough, and what perceived to be this intense yelling. I was like, ah, and it was like all black. Like I didn't see anything. The first two I saw this intense white, and I saw geometry, and it was a flood of emotions. The third time it was just intense black, and I heard myself go ah, and then I remember kind of flipping over onto my stomach, and then waking up and then pushing out what was holding me back from me being myself. I'm just coughing into this bag like just getting it all out because we hold trauma inside the body, right? When we talk about cancers or whatever ailments, they're just not physical. It's just not what we're eating or the environment. Is also we're trauma, childhood trauma from yesterday. So we really want to get into a space where we're constantly pushing ourselves to heal, whichever way that is. So that was one of the modalities. And when I did it, I told the shaman, I said, listen, this is amazing. Also, Bufo does come by way of the Bufo alvarius toad. Is a toad secretion. So it comes from a toad. So I told the shaman, I said, listen, I'm in love with this. I want to serve this to the people. Like, this is something we need. And she said to me, if you want to serve this.
Off into Kambo in a second. Let's get off into Kambo. Because I do want to double back. I do want to talk about this virus because we are talking about healing, okay?
Yes.
But real quick, somebody asked a question. It says, what do you think about weed? After even one smoke, I can channel any power almost, and I feel so ancient. But I keep fighting with all I feel. I have some very bad conditions with nervous systems. What do you feel about weed?
Marijuana is amazing. It's amazing. Yet, right? So I would say this, right? So like our ancestors, our ancient selves, whether it be in Mesoamerica or Asia or St. Louis, where we find pyramids, we find persons and people that have inscribed ways to live, and they utilize marijuana. I would say that the issue with marijuana, and much respect to Lila Africa, because I was watching some videos from him right before this, just to pay respect and just to get a feel of him. He addressed marijuana. He said one of the issues when it comes to marijuana is burning it, right? So it changes it chemically. I would say it's still beneficial if we smoke it, but the problem is the backwoods and the papers. That's the issue. People get addicted to the chemicals that are in there, and they utilize that as a way to not address what's bothering them or what's holding them back from themselves being themselves. So one of the ways.
And I remember. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So what happens is when it comes to marijuana, I'm a huge proponent of vaporizing it. So, and I want to say this because I know there's controversy when we say vape because of the vape juices and it being banned in certain places now or semi-banned. When I'm saying vaporize, I'm strictly speaking of the activity of getting the mineral nutrients from the marijuana without using fire. So I have a vaporizer that I put dry herb into, and I could add oils if I want to, but it's a dry herb vaporizer, and I inhale it that way. This way I'm avoiding the actual fire and the chemicals of it, and I'm also avoiding the backwoods or the Phillies or the papers. And when we do it that way, we don't get addicted to it. Like, I don't have any addiction to marijuana. I can utilize it when I choose to or when I don't want to. I have no addiction to marijuana. I specifically use it for mineral absorption and also to relax the muscles when I want to work out. And also when it's time to tune in, and meditate.
Meditation.
Right.
That's what I use it for. Now, I remember being, when I was in Honduras, because Kerry Jackson is, another soul brother that I have, and he would always tell me, because he used to smoke a lot of weed, back when he stayed in, before he became health conscious and all these things, but he eats it, or he consumes it, he'll drink it, so he'll make the weed brownies, and he'll do the weed smoothies and things like that, and so, it's not like Arjenis said, it's not the weed, it's how we consume it. So if we can eat it, if we can vape it, just keep it in the most natural form as possible, because our ancestors did use herb, and they did to connect, I know, especially when I was in Honduras, I would, take it so I can meditate, during the darkest hour. Whenever I would meditate with marijuana, it's just like an instant alignment with spirit. You know what I'm saying? Just instant, just like that. So I've always been an advocate of, I guess, THC. Is that what it is, Arjenis?
Yeah.
That's the main component? Well,
no, it's not the main component. Like, you can get benefits if you were to vaporize hemp. Right, so THC is just the concentration of what actually makes us feel high. Right.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Got you. Yeah. So nothing wrong with smoking a little herb. I think it's your intention behind it and how you use it.
Right. Like I see people.
So if we can.
Okay.
Go ahead, Arjenis. I'm here.
No, I was just saying that a lot of times, I'm just reiterating, people can use anything as a form of not taking responsibility. And that becomes what's called like addiction. Sometimes people get addicted to, because I know this because when I was raw, right, I realized I wasn't better than anybody else. My physical body might have been more, I could absorb a higher frequency, or maybe I was a little more pure, yet I would still, if there was something that I was denying from myself, I would binge eating coconut. I would sit and binge eating watermelon. Because I didn't have much of yeast, meats, or I didn't have those things in my stomach, the truth could come faster to me, and I would receive that down like, oh, why am I sitting here and not being productive? Oh, okay, I don't want to pay my bills. Oh, I don't want to, or I don't want to have this conversation that's gonna cause strife. Oh, I don't want to, So I was like, okay, I would just get up and then address what I got to address. But I'm still a human body, right? So we all deal what we deal with, depending, it doesn't matter what we're necessarily eating. It's just how can we tune in. It's a form of tuning in.
That's right. And, to get back, just to get back, we're going to hit on it, quickly or whatever,
Corona?
Which way the vibe take us, yes, about that whole situation. Give me your thoughts on this, please.
COVID, what is it? COVID what? COVID-19 COVID-19?
COVID-19
Coronavirus. I was calling it carnivorous because I didn't want to absorb the programming that was with it. And like I said, prior to, I feel like everyone's sort of catching up to the dystopian reality. Like I was already aware of it. I was like, people not seeing as an apocalyptic reality. Like there's no fruits with seeds out here. I used to travel and like find the spots where people were selling watermelons with seeds all throughout the city. I'm like, you guys are okay with this? Like you guys are just gonna, you guys don't sense the taste and the difference in taste. You guys don't sense how it makes our bodies feel. So I was already with that reality. So with this coronavirus pandemic, I feel like everyone's sort of catching up to the realities of it. I have Aaliyah here. We talk about. You want to step into it right now? No, later. Okay. All right. So my assistant in our spiritual work. Aaliyah is here, but she doesn't want to come on camera right now. Maybe later. Maybe later.
I can feel her energy.
Right. And you saw her earlier too, and also my life partner as well. So we've joined in this journey of knowledge of ourselves, knowledge of each other. We are quarantine partners in this pandemic right now, so I hope everybody out there, if you don't have a quarantine partner, use this time to meditate, as I spoke to my sister earlier, meditate, read. This is a good time. It's a good time. It's a good time. We shouldn't really look at it as fear. I want to say this. I like to give people the credit, right? So last night, Aaliyah and I were going over some statistics of what actually kills people, right? Like what actually kills people. Number one thing that kills people is fear, right? So right now on the mainstream news, even on the subconscious news or the subdivision news or the independent news, this is the theme of the conversation every day, every moment, and there's different perspectives. I have my perspective, but I do rely on those that are in the thick of it, and I gain my information from those that have valid information. So I may have my opinion on it, but I'll talk my opinion as well as what I'm aware of. Again, fear is the number one thing. So people need to kind of take a step back, another step back, and another step back, and not be in fear. Like, don't choose fear, because people are going to the hospital thinking they got corona, but they're just having heart palpitations and they're just hyperventilating. We need to breathe. Breathe is a healing modality. Deep breaths, meditate, get some fresh air. They're saying don't go outside, but no. The reason why we went to the tropics scientifically is called negative and positive ions, right? So in this term, negative is actually the good thing, right? So negatively charged ions or negatively charged environments are those that have rivers, trees, fresh air, the sun, greenery. Positively charged ions are those that are cities, right? So personally, in my own perspective, I look at the world, the universe, as a macrocosm of our internal environment. So I look at, in some cases, I look at New York as like a tumor in a sense, right?
I look at where I'm at as a tumor.
Right. Exactly. So there's these tumors around the world, and then there's also these places that are healing, like the tropics, like the places, just the parks. Go to the park.
That's full of chlorophyll.
Right.
Green.
Exactly.
Natural.
Exactly. So that's the reason why we went to the tropics, was to be a part of these negatively charged ionic environments where we want to ground, we want to sunbathe and sun gaze, have fresh water, have fresh fruit. One of the fruit that I learned that I loved in the tropics was papaya. Can't get a really good papaya in New York because they pick it too young. So again, going back to corona, fear. We don't want to be in fear because it induces stress, and stress that is unhealthy, stress that we don't transmute to become productive. It stores in our bodies and it creates these pockets of parasites and tumors and things like that. So we ultimately allowing for the macro parasite to tune into the microcosmic parasite and then kill us. And we don't want that. We want to be in a happy state. We want to vibe off love. That's the truth. We want to vibe off love. We want to vibe off positive energy. We want to, they say don't touch nobody, right? Like, so this coronavirus thing is like, it's interesting. Places are really quiet. It's sort of making everybody come together, but they still have this fear of touching each other. You know? So it's like, it's a weird thing. So it's a really weird thing.
It's very weird. And I remember when it first happened, when it first kind of started to come into, where people were really talking about it, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that, we are in this state of being where we don't realize, that we are accepting this reality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just kept asking myself, beloved, where's the faith? You know,
Right.
do people not understand that faith and fear, they just can't exist in the same realm? So why do, so I was asking, you know, why do people want this a part of their reality? You know what I'm saying? I mean, why? You know, is it misery? Is it just, you know, I mean, what is going on to where people can accept these things so quickly? And so, you know, of course, I didn't listen to the TV, and like you said, I didn't accept it into my reality at all, and it's still not in my reality. But at the same time, you can't help it because of your environment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, you know, I mean, and so I was kind of disappointed just in the collective conscious, because I'm like, come on, y'all, you know, we got to elevate, man. We have to elevate. We have to stay positive. You know, we have to stay happy. We have to stay in joy. You know, we have to stay in peace. But you know, here we are where, you know, most or some states are quarantined. You know, here in Illinois, I think, a couple of days ago, they gave us a curfew. Grown people got a curfew. So we got to be in the house by 5 o'clock every day.
5?
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So it's
Wow,
like, okay. And people are like, yay. You know, I'm like, to me, there would never be the end of the world. But if there isn't, people will definitely conjure it in. You know what I'm saying? It's like people want it, you know, or they want something. I don't get it. But here we are. And so there are people that are affected. I think 3% of people that get this virus pass away. To my understanding, it's the elderly that has passed away, the 3%. Most of the people that get this virus is healed. You know, they're cured from it. You know what I'm saying? I did a little bit of research because I knew we would be talking about this. And I found out, just like a lot of these viruses, they cannot survive in hot temperatures.
Yes.
They can't survive in hot temperatures.
Yes.
They can only survive in cold temperatures.
Right.
Anything 133 degrees Fahrenheit, this virus cannot survive in. So, Arjenis, a couple of days ago, I've been telling the people to speak into your water. And I've been telling them to speak into warm water instead of cold water. This came through meditation. Like I knew, you know, with Dr. Mimoto and his scientific reasons and all that behind the power of water, but it never really dawned on me, why am I telling people, why do I speak into my water when it's warm? It just came in meditation. But, you know, one of the things that they were saying is make sure, especially if you're in a high populated environment where this is really running rampant, you know, drink warm water, drink hot fluids, tea, coffee, eat soup. You know what I'm saying? Because it cannot survive in hot temperatures.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It thrives in the cold.
Yes. Yeah. I saw there was a gentleman by the name of Raz. I forgot his name. It was a Rasta brother. He actually put a video out where hold on, pardon me.
Okay.
All right. So two things. I'm gonna mention in reverse actually behind. Two things in regards to the coronavirus and temperature. Do this whole right here. So two things. I saw a report where there are these patterns on the globe where it's most rampant. So Iran and Italy suffering a whole lot, and places in India isn't, but India is close to Asia, which is close to China. So it's like, how is this happening? So there was a theory where, hold on.
Okay.
Put it on like that.
We're talking about the temperature, y'all.
Right, we're talking about the temperature. So there was a theory, and I'm not saying I believe this. I don't want no problems. Right? So this is just a mere this was a theory that was being propagated that America was actually a proponent of sending the virus to Asia or to China, and as well as Italy, because they didn't like the fact that Italy created this Silk Road trade deal with China, and America didn't know about it. They didn't know they were going to do this, so it was a way of payback. But then after that, to keep it all the way clarity, the same person who reported, her name is Kim Iverson. She actually she actually reported the fact that the regions have these temperature zones, right? So India, which is heavily populated, like why isn't India suffering? And is it Asia? But then you have it's extremely hot, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So talking about being in the tropics again, right? In these temperature zones, is a safe zone in these tropics.
It's a safe zone,
right.
Man.
So I want to give the brother his credit. I forgot his name. He's a Rasta brother. His name is like Ras Yen. I forgot his name, but he basically put a video out. Rasayana. He put a video out where he actually expressed that if we boil water, and just hold our faces over it, right above the water for about, it's basically steaming. Let the steam, inhale the steam for about 15 minutes straight. The coronavirus, which apparently, according to the people that really study it, it lives in the nasal passage.
In the sinuses.
Right, in the sinuses. This is why people are covering their noses, which is really good to cover because it keeps you warm while we're in the cold. So we're saying inhale that for about 15 minutes straight. You can add whatever you believe in, whether it be lemons, oranges, echinacea, all of those things. Me, myself, here's a remedy yeah, exactly. Me, myself, what we've been utilizing is, because I make this myself. If anyone wants to also purchase, you can contact me and we can arrange this. Colloidal silver.
His contact information is below. His email, his YouTube, his Facebook, all of that stuff is below.
Right, most definitely. Colloidal silver, I make it myself. Like you said with Dr. Miyamoto, we do speak love into it, so it does structure, right? If anyone is unfamiliar, the doctor, he proved by freezing liquid, I think with nitrogen, when we speak love into it, it literally creates sacred geometry. So prayer does work, right? People are opposed to that sometimes on their spiritual journey. Thinking positive does work. So when we talk to our loved ones, even those that we don't love, we structure the environment sacredly through our words and our intentions. And when we speak hate, he also froze it and it was distorted. So that's how we curse each other, right? And then not only that, we curse ourselves because it's coming out of us. So we really want to be in environments of love, speak love to ourselves.
Of love, of genuine love. That is so important. If you guys are in environments and you're quarantined around people that don't vibrate love, because see, love is so important right now, you guys. You have to be amongst that type of environment. You can't be around ignorant people. You can't be around low vibrational people. Try to keep the people, like if you're in the house with your family, watch funny TV shows, watch comedy or listen to high vibrational music, play some cards, things like that. Sing, dance, meditate, pray together, like whatever you can do to keep the elevation positive instead of negative. Because again, this virus thrives in the cold. It thrives in the cold.
Right, and even if we take the cold context, like we don't need to be cold to one another. We should be warm and loving.
You should be warm to each other. Yeah, man, you better speak Arjenis. Exactly. And so thank you for telling the people about pretty much putting their face in the mist of the boiling water. Another thing that I had came across was is taking like a little spray bottle, misting your face with it along with a hair dryer, and they're saying to do this if you have signs of a cold. They said the first sign is like a sore throat. So if you have signs of a cold or sore throat or any kind of congestion, mist your face with a little spray bottle, and then use a blow dryer, and then put the heat, put it up your nose and just breathe in that treatment. But like Arjenis said, that is also another great thing just to keep yourself healthy, during this time, because whether I want to step into my reality or not, it doesn't mean that people are not being affected. And I have children, so we got to keep each other, just fluid and just elevated. You know what I'm saying? So we're passing on that love right there, you guys, that knowledge, just in case you guys weren't aware.
Right.
But fear is not an option. Fear is not an option. Low vibrational frequencies is not an option. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Anything else you want to share about the coronavirus before we go on?
All right. Coronavirus, I would say, just fear, man. Like, you guys don't tune into the fear. You know, don't tune into the fear. Tune into to the love and really just love on yourself. This is the opportunity. Like the government is literally telling everyone to stay home. So many of us wanted to stay home. Many of us didn't want to go to work. So our prayers were answered. You know, so stay your ass home and meditate. Do your calisthenics and all of that. And listen, rent has been suspended or mortgages have been waived, something like that. Take advantage of it. Don't worry about tomorrow. Be present now and do what you can to stay hydrated and keep the sinuses warm.
Your sinuses warm, you guys. Keep them warm.
Keep sinuses warm.
If you're in cold climates like me and Arjenis, it's snowing outside, and it's the end of March, and it's snowing outside, and I'm just like, Arjenis, I've had the hardest time being back in the States. Wow. You know, I guess because I came to Chicago versus Houston, because it's where my mom is at, and this is why I really came back, because my mom needed me to be back, you know, but I've had the hardest time with the cold weather, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just, oh my God, so...
I know. I'm glad that you don't get that cold in New York no more. You know, like this global warming. I subscribe to that all the way, but I'm glad. Like, come on now, let's give thanks. You gotta come,
Yeah, man. So you guys definitely stay elevated. You know, keep your nasals warm. Okay, during this time.
Right.
You know, and they were saying that soap and stuff. Well, we know soap kills it, but it's like a foam type of a soap. Get you like a foam kind of a soap. Don't worry about the animals. They were saying that the animals, you can't give it to the animals. The animals can't give it to you. It's human to human. So, you know what I'm saying? And again, just stay elevated in love, because, even if you are a happy person and if you are cultivating around, negative or lower vibrational people, they will bring your frequency down to a level of where your body is not receptive to this virus. So, keep your bodies elevated so that it's not so receptive to this energy.
Yeah,
okay?
Listen, spirit, government, everybody's saying it's time to quarantine. If you don't want to talk to somebody, this is the greatest time to not talk to them. Say, listen, I'm in quarantine mode. I ain't talking right now. And that's it. It's very easy. It ain't hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. And also, people, you don't got to be a fruitarian, but come on now. I went to the grocery store and I saw a lot of fruits in there. Consider eating more fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? Like, just add a little more to yourself. This is the time to really cultivate self. This is the time, like, you ain't got to go to work. You ain't got to pay your bills. So, come on now. Work on yourself.
Take care of self. Eat
exactly.
fruits with seeds. Don't eat watermelon.
Exactly.
There's no seed. If it's
I'll say this too.
Seedless watermelons, leave that shit.
I would say this too. At the same time, Honduras humble me. If that's the option you have, take those options still. You know what I mean? Don't get too caught up in the semantics or the list of not to do and to do. Just get your body in the mindset of getting used to those textures, because fruits don't taste like cooked food, don't taste like bread. So just get the body, just do it, just go for it, and don't beat yourself up if you get a watermelon without seeds, because that's not what we're doing. Because sometimes we ain't got it. Sometimes, I
can't even find a watermelon with seeds, to be honest.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. So if that's the option you have, you got to go for it. You know what I mean? Just get the body and the mind prepared for. That's like manifesting when you get the watermelon with seed. So, you'll get there. You'll get there. I don't know if I have any more for Corona. Anything I should mention? No, that's it. All right, yeah.
All right, man. Okay. Well, let's get off into it. Is it Kambo or Combo?
All right, so I would say it's Kambo, because other countries, they don't really pronounce A's with the long A. It's like Kambo.
Okay.
And
Kambo.
Right. So as I expressed, the shaman, she said, if you want to serve Bufo, what they call Sapo, or what's now known as the toad, she said you want to learn Kambo, because Kambo will teach you to hold space for when you eventually serve Sapo or Bufo.
Okay.
So at the time, I had no respect for Kambo. Why? Because it doesn't have DMT. It doesn't have that molecule that sends you off into oneness. It doesn't have that.
Okay.
And at the time, I wasn't financially at least I didn't think I was financially prepared to invest in something that wasn't going to give me that. I had already had ayahuasca. I had already had mushrooms. Oh, and I did have an extremely profound experience with mushrooms. This was after my third ceremony with Bufo. Very profound. It was amazing. But I won't go into it. Just know that it worked. It was amazing.
Okay.
So she said, serve Kambo. And I'm like, why would I spend money on Kambo? Like, there's no psychedelics. I already had ayahuasca. I already had Bufo. I had mushrooms. What's the purpose of this Kambo? But I followed her instructions. I did. My first experience with Kambo, I didn't think I would take it again, but I remember I was instructed I was still instructed to serve it, learn to serve it. So I didn't let it go. It was like, okay, that's Kambo. All right, whatever. I investigated on go ahead.
I was going to ask, before you go into it, can you, like in your own words, because a lot of the people don't know, like before you came on Facebook with this, I had no clue. And you know, the first thing we do, like the mind rejects what it doesn't understand.
Right.
And it's not that I rejected what you were doing. I'm just like, wow, that is some different stuff. I'm going to research it later.
Yes.
Right? Like type of thing. But, you know, when people don't really understand it, our mind kind of shuts down. So in your own words, what is Kambo?
All right. So,
what is it?
right. So sometimes people get this confused because it's in an amphibian community. Again, Bufo is a toad. It secretes this toad that has DMT. And Kambo secretes a excretion that on itself is literally used to actually freeze snakes that wants to eat it. It freezes a predator in its tracks. So when it's afraid, it secretes this excretion, and if a snake tries to bite it, it freezes in the track, and then the frog jumps away. Right?
Okay, so it's the frog. So this is a poison. Okay, this is a poison that an Amazonian frog.
Right, from Peru.
secretes.
Right, from Peru. From Peru. So the Matses indigenous tribe in Peru, they learned, and there are other tribes as well, whether it be in Colombia or Brazil. There's many stories of how it originates, but for sake of conversation, my lineage comes by way of Peru, and I say that I'll go into what I mean by that as well.
Okay.
So the Matses indigenous tribe in Peru, they discovered that if they apply that secretion onto a superficial burn on their body, it assists them in hunting. So it would steady their hands when they want to use their bow and arrows. It would intensify their focus. It would give them endurance. It was amazing for them. It would turn them to almost like a superhuman. So as a bonus, it also is like a miracle purge. So it also people will research Kambo and they see a lot of vomiting. It's not every time that one vomits when they do Kambo. It's not even all the way necessary unless you do it a particular way. And I want to go into that way because that's more of a consultation thing and I can express that. But it's not every time that we vomit. So again, the Matsi.
So how is it administered and is it painful?
So here's what's called the tamashi vine.
Okay.
Okay. Did it freeze? Okay. Here's a tamashi vine, and this is the Kambo stick. These are my most important tools when it comes to serving Kambo. Right on this. Okay, cool. And in that picture, that's actually another modality. You can go to the other one.
Hold on.
Yeah, go to the other one. All right. So if you look at that photo.
That's cool.
Right, that's cool. If you look at that photo there, if you look closely, we see me holding the tamashi vine like this, and it's lit on the end, and I'm going to make a superficial burn on the brother's arm. So that will it goes about 3 layers. It exposes what we call the white meat, right? It exposes it. And then what I do is I remove medicine from this stick here, and then I apply it to that very superficial burn, wound. So you asked me, is it painful? It does sting. With the burn stings. But then once I apply the medicine, what usually happens, right? And I say usually because everyone has their own experiences. But the common theme of it is that our face gets flustered. And for those that would like to actually see me go through levels of Kambo, you can go on my Instagram, READY, the number 4, the letter R, ready for R. You check the little bubble. It says Kambo Healing, I believe. And you can actually see my journey when I was training with my teacher. Her name is Ananya Maitri. But go back to it. You apply the medicine onto the wound, and then the face becomes flustered, the body temperature drops, our throat becomes, it feels like it begins suffocated, like you're going through an allergic reaction. One might feel the need to defecate, one might feel the need to vomit, you might even feel the need to black out. All of these things can happen. It can even be an orgasmic experience. I've served persons and they were cruising and they were in meditative mode. It was like, so these are just the possible realities of what happens. But as a Kambo practitioner and healer, we provide a ceremonial approach to it, right? Because in our society, we don't necessarily go hunting. We utilize it for this miracle purging that we do. So myself and my assistant, Aaliyah, we provide our energy to create a safe space for those that are needing it. So after that, one may purge, then one may feel invigorated, one may need to actually just relax and just cool out. And we provide that and we encourage that. And then we also offer what will be a vegan meal after, either prepared by us or different circumstances. We encourage that it's prepared by maybe the family, because sometimes we do in-house and sometimes we do in our facility. The purge itself, when I've done it, right? So like I said, I wasn't impressed by my first experience, but miraculously, as I was seeking for instruction in Kambo, Ananya, she added me on Facebook by mistake. And by mistake, right? Like, I don't believe in coincidences. So I saw her information. I said, wow, this woman, she actually teaches Kambo, and she also teaches Bufo. I'm like,
wow, look at that. It's just divine.
Right.
That's all it is.
It was just divine.
Yeah.
So I reached out to her, and then circumstances happened where she actually came to my home and taught me for about maybe a little over either 9 days or 7 days, where I went through the rites of passage to learn how to serve Kambo under her.
Okay.
And her teacher is someone by the name of Peter Gorman. And
oh yeah.
Okay. Right. So Peter Gorman.
Oh my God.
Right.
I wish I could meet him in person.
Right. He's quite the character. I haven't met him in person. He's on Facebook as well. I want to just shout out the brother's name is James McCoy. He created a documentary called More Joy, Less Pain. And that's the video I shared with you, where he featured Peter Gorman, because he doesn't seem to be someone who really goes for the accolades. But Peter Gorman, he is a editor or a writer by trade. And he went to Peru. And the indigenous tribe, the Matses, they invited him into their space, and they showed him the ways of not only Kambo, also ayahuasca. So he brought that back to America. He was literally the first person to bring this healing modality to America. Right. So if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't necessarily have that now. So we got to give respect to Peter Gorman and the Matses, and then Ananya, who then taught me. So that's why I said I'm from that lineage, and that's the IASP, International Association of Sapo Practitioners. The Matses, they call the frog, which is known as the Philomydusa bicolor tree frog. That's the actual scientific term for the frog. And they call it Sapo. Sapo is actually toad in Spanish, but they didn't have a word for frog in Spanish, so they call it Sapo.
Yeah, let me share this with you guys real quick. So this is a frog right here. Right. That's the frog.
Right. So it's
you
can read it if you like.
I can't see it.
All right, so I'll read it. It says, what is Kambo? It says Kambo derives from the secretion of the Amazonian giant waxy tree frog, Philomedusa bicolor. So it's also known as the monkey frog, and it's also known as the waxy tree frog. The secretion is comprised of a unique complex cocktail of bioactive peptides that produce amazing benefits for both body and mind. And that's true. So through my rites of passage, I would do Kambo like every day. Ananya, she was torturing me through the. No, that's a joke. She's comical, so she'll understand. I think she's even watching now. Big up to you, Ananya. Right. So she taught me, and I have a amazing. I bow down. I respect Kambo. Like, it's not about psychedelic experience every time, and it does, because of the purging and the medicine getting in. It does everything. It heals gout. It's good for cancer. It's good for addiction treatment. Diabetes. It literally purges. It's the miracle reset. It's like the ultimate detox.
That was my next question.
Right.
What kind of healing, issues does it assist with or purge? You pretty much said it.
Right.
Different kind of cancers and gouts, and what about depression and
Oh
things
yeah.
like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Listen, for those that have issues when it comes to their skin, it heals the skin. I have photos.
Like eczema.
Eczema, all of that. Like I said, also, Peter Gorman is unique. He doesn't necessarily perpetuate the idea of changing your liberty or dietary lifestyle, but we over here at Light and Kambo in our company, we do encourage the opportunity to transition to a more healthier lifestyle. Because after these things, you don't want to use it as like a cheat code. Like, we're going to do this and just purge. We want to treat the body with love and get in a higher frequency, and eat more living foods. So we personally coach with that. So you guys can contact us for those consultations and those services as well.
That information is in the description box. Again, you guys, just joined in.
Right. So we, for me, it brought me this amazing peace of mind. I didn't want to be on social media. I stayed away. I felt very okay with no social media. I was just in meditative mode. It was just like I could breathe. I was super present. I teach presence, but it was like just love of self and appreciation. Once we purge those parasites and that gook out, it's like we're left with ourselves, and it gives us opportunity to not just deal with the physical transgressions, but why we are attracted to toxic foods and stuff, why we're attracted to toxic environments. Usually is attached to trauma, right? We live I don't want to say we live, but oftentimes people do, or happens to us or whatever, it perpetuates a more traumatic experience, and then we sort of relive those traumas, right? Like, so when I say, people say we are what we eat, I say we are what we absorb, right? And I find that babies the most, but adults as well, right? So like if we share trauma, we relive that trauma, even if we talk about it with somebody else. Emotionally, we're there again. We're not moving forward. So we need to create a way of life where we're repeating moments of love, So, because trauma and love works the same way. There's no difference. We can't, So, especially when it comes to childhood trauma, it's like, why are people abusive to one another? Because maybe they saw their parents abusive. They're talking to each other in tones that are not loving. And then the children take that into the schools, into the social environments, and they're just doing what they absorbed. Because we're all sponges.
Toxic generational curses.
Exactly.
That just repeating itself.
Exactly. And then when we don't know how to functionally address those things, that's when it morphs into addictions, right? That's when we start to eat because we don't know how to address that trauma functionally, or we don't have the persons around to whether address it immediately, like say, listen, you want some bullshit, stop that bullshit, or those that can address it in a more sweet way, or those that can, however which way we do it, it needs to be addressed, and we also have to encourage it within ourselves. One thing that I do know in my life is that when you talk about the matrix and stuff, there's a red pill and the blue pill. The red pill is the one to accept the matrix, the blue one's to stay. Sometimes people are just not ready, and sometimes we get on that like enlightenment mode. We want to tell our family and the world and everyone.
We want to tell everybody because we want everybody to know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I'm not gonna tell nobody to stop doing that. Yeah, we have to know that we're just dropping a seed potentially. But if they're not ready to move with us, that's fine because everyone has their journey. And the beautiful thing is, just like how we connected, there is such a thing as a frequency family, a soul family, a spirit family, where we could come together and we are the ones that's supposed to do the work and then inspire our friends and family by our own work. It's just not by our words because we know that the word is the lowest frequency anyway, right? So we need to be about that life and then maybe they'll see it like you saw it. Like I didn't come and say, Sheila, you need to get down with this combo. You saw what I was doing. You saw I was actually practicing, and then you say, you know what? Let me reach out to my brother, right?
That's right. And I needed to know. I'm so interested. Now I have a question about Kambo. Can pregnant women do this? Or no?
That's an amazing question. Kambo does serve as a natural way to terminate pregnancies.
Oh wow.
So they can do it, but if they intend to terminate their pregnancy. So right, exactly. It is a way to terminate. And I'll say this too. From my teacher, she expressed to me that if one does decide to do that, it is very intense. So don't just think it's going to be one and done. It is very intense on the person. So people choose people that if you do get pregnant or if you do get someone pregnant, try to choose someone that you wouldn't necessarily mind having a child with. Because listen, I believe that the women are the gate to this reality. So it is the woman's choice to either deliver or not to deliver. That is the responsibility of the women. You know, the men, we do ignite that electrical bond to spur the baby, but it's the woman who does give the option. So, and also women just, I can perform that. It's not something that I look forward to doing, but it is an option. It is an option. It is an option.
Okay. And if you want to keep your baby and if you are pregnant, just wait until after, you have your baby or whatever the case may be. So, you guys are operating in New York right now. Do you guys travel to different states to do this?
Yeah. Most definitely. If it's really far, we do ask for the travel expense in the state to be covered. And also we do encourage if that particular person can gather people, because it won't be as much as a financial for one person, because we would like for it to be ceremonial, where it's a celebration of healing, right? Private sessions are encouraged as well. Yeah, we do encourage the ceremonial aspect as well, because then in those aspects, sometimes people can assist each other, and sometimes people do these things and they have nobody to talk to about it. So what we do is we have certain forums, certain chat rooms for those that do the Kambo, and then as well as the Bufo, to communicate and build. And I find that those that I've served have become my spirit family. So they're just They're just not clients to me. They become my family. We become that. Exactly.
How long does one of these ceremonies? Okay, so would it be like a 1 day, or is this like a 3-day type of situation that
Okay, so the best way to utilize Kambo, I would say, is 2 to 3 times in 1 week. If you can go back to back, that's best. It does work. One session does work as well. It's not always. Sometimes people are dealing with different things. So depending on one's ailments, I do encourage a back-to-back type of thing. Kambo, for the most part, lasts about. It can be anywhere between 1.5 hours to 4 hours. Like I said, someone might feel they need to lay down, and we stick around for that. Or if we're in their home, then we can leave them to themselves and their family. But sometimes they're in our space, where we encourage them to lay down and eat and get hydrated afterwards. So a lot of that time is just the reintegration, right? So I would say this: how I conduct my ceremonies. If you want, you can pull up that photo with the eye drops.
Okay, here I come. Give me a second. All right, here we go.
Okay. All right, so that healing modality is called Sananga, right?
Sananga.
Yeah, Sananga are eye drops from the Amazon that are specifically made for opening that third eye.
Mm-hmm.
It physically can heal the eyes, like our two eyes, and it's also specifically for depression.
Okay.
Right. So usually when people do it, they purge as well. Right. So
Okay.
I utilize that to open them up to the combo, and sometimes people cry. Sometimes people would just sting because it is a stinging to it. It's very intense.
Okay.
Sometimes people do it and they meditate afterwards, and when they open their eyes, everything's brighter, super intense.
Wow.
Right. So that's a healing modality that I infuse into the combo ceremony. It's not a must, but usually people that come to me for the first time, they're usually open to what I have. Sometimes they come again and say, no más sananga, meaning no more. No, they're good. Right? But I serve sananga as well. And then I go into combo. And then after the combo, we utilize what's called a tobacco snuff. In that photo, there's Aaliyah on the left side, and she's nurturing one of our participants who's laying down. And the brother who I serve combo to, he's to the right of Aaliyah. And you can see this is ceremonial now, right? So these things can happen on a one-on-one session, but because it was more than one person being served, now we can connect and really assist each other in our healing.
In the healing.
Right. So this is why I call it ceremonial healing or a celebration of healing, because we really tune into one another, and that energy matters. That's that positive thinking I was talking about. We're literally sacredly structuring each other while doing this. You know, so this is right. So it's different than going to the doctor. You just go, you do your procedure, and you leave. We are tuning in an indigenous way, in a loving way, in a way that's missing. You know, in times of quarantine, this is what we need to be doing: meeting up, not afraid to touch each other. And if you are, we have colloidal silk. You spray yourself. You could put it in your mouth. Whatever goes on the skin should be able to go into the body. That's my rule of thumb. People are spraying Lysol all over the place. That stuff ain't good for the internal, right? So, again, right. So after the combo now, we go into a tobacco snuff, either Nunu or Hape, and that's used for tuning into your higher self, and is also a way to ground. A lot of times after combo, a couple times, or sometimes I should say, people can be a little disoriented. So I would take what's called the can you get the secret, please?
It's like the thing that you.
I'm gonna show it right now. I'm gonna show it right now. Thanks so much. All right, so here it is. It's I blow here into the nasal cavity, and that's tobacco snuff. And what it does again is it allows for us to tune into a higher consciousness. It has psychoactive properties. It's not a psychedelic, but it has psychoactive properties. So I do that, and it can have somewhat of a leave you disoriented. But if we meditate and take deep breaths through it and balance ourselves, it shoots you right into meditative mode, like instantly. Sometimes people have meditated for an hour straight after that. So that's why I said my combo ceremonies can be anywhere between an hour and a half to 4 hours. Because after these things, people are just in tune. And I don't rush. I don't rush them, depending on the setting. Obviously, if I'm renting a space, it could be a little different. But we encourage everyone to go through their journey.
Now, what if some people wanted to do that part and maybe the eye drops and not the actual Kambo because they're afraid of the burns or purging or something? Like, could they do that?
Well, of course. Listen, I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve. If people want to come to me and receive Hape by itself, let me know. I will serve them that if they need that. As a matter of fact, at my last ceremony, there was someone there who didn't do any of that, but because they were there, I offered it to her, and she had a whole experience as if she had the other stuff, and she surrendered. It was beautiful, you know. So yeah, and people people can do those things on their own as well, and do the tobacco snuff. It's not something to do every day because it can become addictive because it have tobacco in it. It's used sparingly, and I'll say for ceremonies, or if someone needs to truly tune into that higher self and ground themselves, then we do it. But it's not something to be utilized every single day. I want to say this too in regards to the Nunu. The Mat says they combine that tobacco snuff as a honing device, a way of honing their seeing where their game is, basically where their hunt is. So in that meditative state, if I serve that, or when I serve that to people, I sometimes instruct them to whatever it is that they're want or trying to manifest. This is the time to do it. Whatever they're trying to attract, this is the time to put that on the frontal lobe and just go for it, because it will show you and let you know. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I said, the Matsis, they would literally envision where the hogs were, the wild bisons were, wherever for their hunt, in combination with the combo. So yeah, it's definitely used for that.
Well, before I get out of this environment, because I'm not going to be here forever, I'm going to try to see if I can get you out here, if I can have it, because I really feel like there are so many people that I know that needs to be healed or needs healing to be activated. There's so many people suffering from, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, lupus, depression, they don't even know, trauma, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm going to, and I can't do it now. I'll announce why I can't later on. But, and I would like to experience it too, because I've always wanted to do Mother Aya, but I've just been so scared. Because I don't like feeling sick. I do not like feeling sick. And so, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at it like Kambo could be like a lesser degree of
ayahuasca. Well, look, I'll say the difference between ayahuasca, the major difference is the DMT aspect. There is a sense of when we purge with the combo, it can change. It does change your life, or change our life. Like, so if we're in those toxic environments, we have to reconsider, because those toxic environments will connect into the toxicity inside of us. So once we purge, we have to deal with reality. Whether you're doing a job that's not for you, it's like, how do I go back to that job when I know now, I can feel it at a high intensity rate that it's not for me? Even these relationships that we put ourselves in, like, how do I stay loyal to that when I've just did this intense cleansing? Ayahuasca does the same. It does the same thing in a different way, right?
Okay.
It does it, like I would say, Kambo is more healing physically than ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a combination of purging and then the psychedelic aspect. So you might just go on a complete journey, whereas like you might meet Mother Aya, you might see snakes, you might end up in Egypt, you might end up on different state of consciousness. It's just a totally different thing, and you receive these intense answers. Kambo is not as intense, but after it's all said and done, it does change your life. It does give a state of peace. And I'll say this. No, I'll say this. Kambo's actually, see what happens is ayahuasca lasts about 8 hours, right? But Kambo is more grueling. Like, because if you look at my pictures, my face got swollen. You feel disoriented. Ayahuasca, that doesn't happen. You just kind of purge, you have stomach pains, and then you start to feel good. Like I said, the second time I've done ayahuasca, it was like a party, actually. It was like a celebration. People were doing yoga, people were dancing, and then throwing up in between. It was like, okay. it was a celebration. That's usually not happening with Kambo. You can sit with Kambo and meditate through it, but it's not like you're jumping for joy. And we wouldn't recommend it, especially while the medicine, because you could collapse.
Okay.
So
this is I wouldn't say an extreme form of healing, but sort of, kind of, because it really, like you said, it causes the body to purge, and then after the purging, you start to identify what's toxic in your life, and you no longer want to have anything to do. So I would suggest to actually do this. So when so I'm going to see if I can manifest to when me and my family is getting ready to move on out of this environment. Right. What I'm saying? And even the people that I invite that is interested, because again, people reject this kind of thing if they don't, you know what I'm saying? And so people who are ready for a change in their life, these are the types of individuals that you probably need to service, right? I mean,
People that are listen, I get people that are addicted to opioids.
Oh wow.
And addicted to heroin. Those are some of the persons that come to me. People that are just tired of the allopathic way of doing things, the medication that they prescribe. People that are just prone to more holistic form of healing. I get a whole host of persons. You know, like clearly I'm encouraging this. Like just contact me. We'll have a consultation and we'll see if it's for you. Because some people aren't necessarily not made for this, but some people that are doing like let's say if they have what are the type of illnesses that
psychosis.
Like some type of psychosis.
Schizophrenia.
Right. It might not be for them. If someone has cancer and they're on chemo, then we can't serve them. But if they aren't on chemo, then we have a cancer protocol for them to heal. People that just want to purge. People like their detoxes that last about 12 days, 20 days. If you want to if you want to do it a little faster, you can invest in Kambo. You know.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. And you guys, I mean, I know Peter do not push the whole that you have to change your diet.
Right.
And I know that you guys kind of encourage people to, but this is not a form of healing where people absolutely have to change their diet in order for it to work.
Not at all. Not at all. No, it works.
Okay.
It works instantly. Like it works regardless. It works regardless. Just because my background and I've seen my family transition because of cancer and stuff like that. Like that's what motivated me. You know, my mother, she transitioned with heart disease or potentially a spiritual attack, whatever. That's what motivates my spiritual prowess. So for me, it's like I want to address the physical and connect it with the spiritual. So I'm covering all ground.
That's right. I hear you. Before we get out of here, Arjenis, do you have any upcoming projects or healing events or anything that you would like to share? And again, everybody, his contact information is below. He do travel. Arjenis, I will reach out to you if I can get, about 3 or 4 people, you know what I'm saying? Because we can look at other people and say, okay, they need some healing, they need to purge. But again, the person has to be ready. They have to be willing and they're ready for a change. So, I'll just set the intention out there. Maybe at about I think I got about maybe a year or so to be here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But, we're going to keep in touch. But, if you guys are interested, he do travel. Okay. His, contact him for a consultation. All his information is below. But do you have any upcoming events or projects in New York City, if anybody's out there?
All right. So, I would say my next move actually is moving back to my home city, which is Brooklyn, New York. So I'm actually in the transition of moving because I was in Queens and I'll be transitioning to Brooklyn. So once I get to Brooklyn,
What's the journey?
Exactly. Once I get to Brooklyn, New York, I'll be able to answer you guys much better. But contact me. I'm still doing in-house appointments, and we'll see if I have my facility again in Brooklyn. But I'm working on a personal move. Contact me. Also, I do have my own YouTube channel. It's called Ready for R, READY, number 4 letter R, where I do promote this type of stuff. I'm gonna rebroadcast this on that as well. And again, thank you, Shala, for bringing me back out. I love communicating. I love communicating with persons like yourself. Also, I just want to highlight again too, because it is another modality that I do service, which is my personal favorite, which led me to Kambo, which is the Bufo. That does not necessarily involve intense vomiting, but there is a purging. Like I said, there could be yelling, there could be spit that comes out. But for me, I'll express it like this. It's like being in a Star Trek starship or spaceship, pressing the hyperspeed button, and on that journey, you look to your right or your left, and we'll see planets of love, and then we'll arrive to planet gratitude. So, right. So for me, as I expressed battling my family and these things and friends, I've healed from that, and I have to give credence to the modality of Bufo, as well as just my wanting to, because it wouldn't work if I didn't want to, right? And I'll give thanks to Aaliyah too, because she was on my latent journey with Bufo, and she was just like, "What are you doing? Like, just forget, like, come on." So like, I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Let me just feel."
So you do offer that as well. So
yes.
Even if people are not down for the Kambo, you do offer the booth, because that like how you administer that is through the smoke. You said
right. It's through a glass pipe. Those that are familiar with DMT or those that have experienced DMT, is literally administered the same way. But it's DMT can be used recreational, and people have had very far out experiences with DMT. Bufo, you're not gonna get like these visions where it may be a bunch of things that might come off as frivolous or might hit home, but not as much. Bufo is like 30 times or 100 times more intense, but it's purely like healing.
It's healing.
And even for addicts, those that are addicted to certain things, they do Bufo and they leave their life of crack cocaine and all that stuff. So
what about cigarettes?
Cigarettes too. Yeah. Listen, it is a complete spiritual healing thing. And even those we talk about cigarettes, those things again are attached to certain traumas and stressful environments. So again, with this corona, people are stressed, they're going back to their cigarettes to try to relieve the stress because of that anxiety. Bufo is like the number one thing to heal depression. Literally. Okay. Literally. Like it's like the number one thing to heal depression. Wow. And it's my personal favorite over over.
I think I want to try that. I think that's the one that I want to try. Now, two of my favorite vibers came on, Taylor Darden and Chosen to Win. Chosen to Win said, "Where are you in Queens?"
All right, so right now, like I said, I'm moving, so that'd be an invalid situation, right? So I'm moving at the end of this month. So if you guys contact me, it'll be an in-house, like I'll come to your space or a space of your choice, and we'll serve you there. So at this moment, I'm really in a transition. No one's coming here to do any type of healing.
Okay, because he's in transition.
Right.
If you guys contact him, if you are in that area, contact him, because he'll be able to go to your house or something like that. Now, Taylor asked, does he heal generational curses?
Yeah.
I feel like...
Okay, so ahead. In regards, like I said, my true calling, right, is counseling. That's what I do. I put things in proper perspective and teach people how to think about things differently so they can heal from it. Because as I expressed earlier, I used to be an atheist, but I learned that beliefs are tools. And we choose to believe. We can utilize beliefs as a way to invoke a particular outcome. So that's how I use beliefs. I could believe in this right now and I could shut that belief off. If I don't want to, because beliefs invoke emotions. So do we heal with generational curses? One, the healing is within you. And do you want to heal from that? That's identifying it first. And of course, we do. We do that with counseling. And then we also, like I said, Bufo is almost like the cheat code. People will talk about Bufo being like a 10-year therapy thing in 15 minutes. So you don't exactly, all the answers come to you by way of the universe. So it's like you hop up and you're like, you're given instructions. You can also tune into your ancestors that way too. You can tune into the ones that have transitioned and all of that. Like whatever you want answered.
I'm very excited about the Bufo.
Yeah. Bufo is what you want. Kambo is amazing. Kambo actually complements all of the psychedelics. So sometimes you'll see people serve ayahuasca in a ceremony, then I have Kambo if you want it. Because Kambo complements the ayahuasca, complements the Bufo, it complements the San Pedro, it complements them because it's not a psychedelic. But we don't want to do, when it comes to Kambo, we need at least a 6-hour grace period before we do Bufo.
Okay.
Right, so it needs a little bit of time.
Okay, now she wants to know, is there a place to get it or do you sell it?
All right, so when it comes to Bufo, I'm not a seller of Bufo. Bufo comes from Mexico, right? It comes from Mexico, and Bufo, like ayahuasca and all these healing modalities, is not decriminalized, right? That's the honest truth. It's not decriminalized. So it's really for those in the inner circle that really gonna be a part of this. And I'm letting you know on your platform because you attract a particular frequency that understands that, right? So Kambo is more common, is become more popular, and it is legal, right? So do I sell Bufo? No, I don't. I don't sell Bufo. I get it from trusted shamans out there, and
he administers it in a spiritual ceremony.
Right, exactly. I administer it myself, so you'll be receiving that from me, and I serve it basically. And also, when it comes to that, you guys don't want to get too happy about what I said and just start Googling where to get Bufo, because the people in these places, Mexico or even Peru, even when it comes to Kambo, people try to escape the price that it costs, right, and serve it themselves. These people are in developing countries, so they'll sell you some stuff that looks like Kambo, but it might be it'll be cactus juice, and you'll end up hurting yourself. And even Bufo, they'll sell you some stuff. They'll say, "Oh, Gringo wants it. We'll sell you some Bufo, and it'll be some poisonous." So it's like, listen, when I get it, it is expensive. It's expensive. So and it's because it's coming from a trusted place.
I hear you.
Right.
All right.
What is DMT? You can Google that. You can Google what DMT is. It is a spirit. It is a spirit molecule. DMT stands for something is dimetro. I always forget what it is, but it has its scientific term. But it's a spiritual molecule. You can achieve a DMT reaction by breathing. People talk about the Kundalini rising. We have DMT within us. You do not need to utilize Bufo or DMT or ayahuasca to achieve it. Yet it is here for us. If you're tuning in now, like I said, the ancients had put it on the walls, showing us how to use these things, whether it be by way of marijuana, blue lotus, or ayahuasca. They're there for us to utilize.
Yeah, got you.
You can listen, chosen. You can contact me. You can contact me ASAP. Let's just set it up. You don't gotta contact me when I'm settled. I'll be settled in a month, well, in a couple days. So just contact me, get the conversation started, and we'll have a consultation before anything. We'll make an appointment for you.
Okay. Well, Arjenis, thank you so much. Just lastly, just in case if you guys are just not joining, again, his contact information is below. Okay, he is a healer. He's a counselor. He's certified to do these things. He's also had experience with these things. You know what I'm saying? And so, I feel like it's almost impossible to help others heal when you haven't had to heal yourself. And so he's gone through it.
Right.
And so, I can't wait to utilize his services. I gotta wait a little bit, but I'm definitely looking forward to Bufo. I was kind of scared about the Kambo, not necessarily scared because I don't operate on fear, but I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to burn, and then I don't like being sick. I just don't like that feeling. But you never know. Right.
The sickness is the feeling of the sickness. It doesn't perpetuate more than a day. Like, everyone's different, but after let's say after the ceremony, you're gonna feel amazing. Like, you're more than likely gonna feel amazing. That's it. You feel it for a moment, no more than, let's say, 30 minutes, right? You're gonna feel it, but then you're gonna come back to yourself. You can check out my reviews on my Facebook page. It's called Light and Kambo. You should look that up, Light and Kambo, and you'll see people have reviews, and they'll tell their experience with the Sananga, the Bufo, not the Bufo yet, but the Kambo and the Sananga and the Hape. They talk about it, and it's amazing modality.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Arjenis, for your time, man. The vibe was real. Thank you for everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the vibe. I think there are no more questions in the house. There are no more questions. Again, contact him. His information is below if you want to follow him on Facebook, Instagram. If you want to reach out to him for counseling services, he offers those as well. Like he said, that he does have some more natural cleansing or healing or like cleansing things where you can cleanse your house. I think he has things like that that's also available to you guys.
I want to also add, on our Light and Kambo team, we do also do spirit mediumship, psychic spirit mediumship. So those that want to tune into and receive answers from their ancestors, or for those that have transitioned, we do serve We do offer that as well, and that's specifically.
Can we do that online, or do we have to be in person?
For right now, it is in person.
Okay.
It is an in person experience. Aaliyah, that's her specialty. So once there's a consultation, it's possible.
Girl, shoot.
Right, Aaliyah, you don't come on camera and say hello to the people one time. Just one time. I've been mentioning you. She's
just dynamic. I mean, can you come bless us? Yes.
Hello, greetings.
Right. So
I gotta hook up with you, girlfriend. Yes, I need to speak to. I need somebody else to channel my ancestors, because when I be trying to channel them, it be too many. I mean, it would just be. I become overwhelmed. So I feel like there needs to be another channel. You know what I'm saying?
Right. She's helped me. She's directly helped me tune into my mother. My mother transitioned when I was 2. And like I said earlier, she's a huge force in my spiritual journey, and I've utilized her for that as well. So
just a ball of light.
Right.
Okay, y'all stay elevated, man. Is there anything else y'all want to offer or ask or anything you want to say?
Live in love. Live in love. Will do. He has a great aura. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay. Hold on. Lastly, so just for clarity, we will have to come in New York, or do you come out? So you guys can't come to New York, or he will travel.
Listen, we will travel. Just cover those expenses. Just cover the expenses. Listen, we want to be where you are. You know, where we're needed. You know, this is something that we want to do full time, right? Like, so we are transitioning into that, and we want to do this thing full time. This is what we're here to do. We don't want to do other jobs. You know, we want to do this full time for the people that need it, and the people that are seeking. So this is our company, Light and Combo. It's our family business, Light and Combo. And
okay,
right.
And then Chosen to Win, reach out to him. You can get. I didn't know about Aaliyah, but I'm sure. But if you contact Arjenis, he can get through to Aaliyah in respects to communicating with the ancestors and what you need to do and stuff like that.
Right. Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, she specializes in holding spaces. So you may see her, like I said in that picture, she was the one holding the space for the participants. Right, she was there.
Right here.
Right, exactly. And she's our head support system. You know, so she's leading that. So.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. The vibe was real. Arjenis, I'm going to stay in touch.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for your energy, brother, and thank you for your energy. And I'm going to keep you guys elevated in thought and in prayer. You know what I'm saying? Stay safe.
You as well.
I love you guys. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you, Aaliyah. We'll be in touch, okay? We got some work to do, girl.
Yes. And Shala, listen, I've been waiting for, like I said, like, listen, I really appreciate you for bringing me out, because I haven't gotten through that part of me where I'm just going to go on camera and talk with myself. Like I'm somebody who does feed off the feedback. So I appreciate you for reaching out to me, and it's like my coming out again. And you guys continue to ready for on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'll be doing more of these, and maybe Elaine and I will do a podcast or something, and we'll have you as a guest. You know,
that'd be wonderful.
Right, most definitely.
Yeah, man. I love you guys. Y'all, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share the video. Share it on your YouTube, your Instagram. Share it on Facebook. Okay, get the vibe out there. This was a healing vibe. A healing vibe. We even gave y'all some suggestions on how to stay elevated during this whole pandemic. Right. Okay, so
we call it the faux apocalypse.
Yeah, man.
The fake apocalypse. But it's a real thing. Right. It's real.
All right. Talk to you later. I love you guys.
Peace, love, and light.
And bye, beautiful people.
Wholeness, oneness.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.